What else we got?
Yeah, let's talk about The Rock this week, and let's clear all this up for once and for all, and get back to it when it's relevant again. So he's spoken out this week, saying, "I can tell you there's no truth to that right now. Possibly down the road we will see." In relation to the Roman Reigns story, he also said that we stay very close, myself and Roman, and I'm very happy and very proud of the work he's doing, as well as the Usos and all my other family members. Those guys will continue to do what they're doing down the road, and we'll see what's to come. So the thing is that he's not going to turn around and say, yes, I'm doing WrestleMania, or no, I'm not doing WrestleMania. But the fact is that my understanding is at the moment he's not doing WrestleMania. Now, if we run through this chronologically, this was the WrestleMania that it was looking like he was going to do. Now, a lot of people turn around in the comments on YouTube and say, why would the WWE say that we don't want The Rock, or why would they not just take him when they can get him? Because The Rock is going to be cheaper and more accessible when he wants to come and do it. Now, Billy Barty didn't postpone the XFL. The XFL postponed the XFL, and The Rock runs the XFL. So The Rock has freed up space in his schedule, which he can do, to promote the XFL. That has now been moved to 2022 and 2023. So it benefits more for the WWE to get The Rock when he wants to do it. That's obviously going to be more accessibility and a cheaper time to do it. Plus, you have this story going on with Brock Lesnar. So very, very easily you can shift gears, put the Brock match in at WrestleMania 38, and move The Rock to WrestleMania 39. Now, I explained, I don't know if Konnan was on that show, but I explained the exact time where they made that decision. Konnan, you wasn't on the show, so I'm just going to run through it again quickly. Do you remember that week where the draft was going and the Usos weren't put on SmackDown?
Yeah.
And then there was a whole big storyline where they were going to go to Raw, and they said, Paul, you're fired from the Bloodline if they end up on Raw, right?
Yeah.
So that was the script for that was that at the top of the show, they were supposed to be drafted to Raw, and they were going to take Heyman out at the end of the show to kick him out of the Bloodline. Roman and the Usos were going to destroy Paul Heyman. That was the sell for the entire show to get you watching to the third hour. At this point, Brock was supposed to come out, and Sonya and Adam Pearce were going to tell you that Paul Heyman had swapped the Usos, who are now on Raw, for Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar was now on Raw. So he was going to stay in the Bloodline by the skin of his teeth. But obviously there would be that doubt. Why are you still negotiating for Brock? How did you get him on Raw? So they were going to ride that doubt all the way into Crown Jewel. That was the storyline. That was going to be the end of that Raw. It wasn't supposed to be as anticlimactic as the Usos just being drafted to SmackDown and Heyman clutching his chest and going, thank God, right at the start of Raw. Everybody thought that was weird. This is why it was weird, because the decision was made at the weekend. We need to do two Brock matches and not have a clean finish at Crown Jewel, because we're not going to be bringing The Rock in for 38. So it was determined over that weekend that The Rock was going to come in for 39. They weren't going to do it for 38. And the reason for this is that if The Rock keeps WrestleMania 38 free because he thought he was going to do XFL, and now he needs to keep WrestleMania 39 free, that doesn't mean 38 still remains free. This is the part that people don't understand. This is the most famous person in the world. If we run through what he's doing, he has Red Notice coming out on Netflix this week. He's just done a deal with Xbox, which means that he can get paid for promoting any game that comes out, and he can secure more projects anytime he wants. Looking back historically, what happened when Ballers got canned out of the blue. Now, remember, Ballers didn't get canned because The Rock was done with Ballers. Ballers got canned because the first two seasons did really well. And from season 3 onwards, it started getting downward ratings on Rotten Tomatoes and other review sites, and the viewership dropped under 500,000 per episode, right? So even The Rock isn't an automatic draw. But when Ballers did get canned, he immediately went and did this deal with Netflix, which he's now signed to Netflix to do more. It was called Red Notice, the film, which is coming out this week with Ryan Reynolds and Gal Gadot. And he then did another film, which was a spin-off of Shazam called Black Adam, where he's like the main character and anti-hero. He then did a voiceover for the WWE video game. He's just done filming Jumanji: The Next Level. And we also had Jungle Cruise released earlier this year, and Disney are keen to do more with him. Most of this was work he didn't have. He had half of this, and then he acquired the other half when Ballers disappeared off his schedule. So if he wants to work, if his agent puts information out there saying, hey, you know, we said that he wasn't free at the start of 22 and he now is, he's going to be busy, and he's going to acquire a lot more money doing that work than he would do working for the WWE. The WWE is a friendly deal between The Rock and Vince McMahon. The Rock was given the name The Rock by the Vince McMahon, and Vince let him have it for free. There's no commission that goes with that name. That was one of the nice things Vince done. And in exchange, obviously, The Rock will come in and do things that Vince wants him to do. But it's got to be a win-win for everybody. And doing it when the XFL starts is a win-win, because when people think this rating that Raw has is terrible.
So basically what you're saying, Billy, is we're not going to see The Rock in WWE for 2 years.
Not 2 years, 18 months, maybe 1 year. And this is the thing. It was very much set to be this year. There's promo material, T-shirts, all kinds of stuff made for Rock 25, which was the Survivor Series. The Survivor Series tagline was supposed to be, and you've seen how underwhelming the build has been, because they kind of just thought, F it. Like, we just need to get this show done. Like, announcing teams online this weekend. Yeah, that's kind of Vince's attitude. He's done this with things before, where it's not going to be the big deal that he wants it to be. Kind of loses interest in it. WrestleMania 37 was a big example, because that was supposed to be all the fans coming back, and then it was 25 capacity stadiums. So you got a very, very watered down WrestleMania, which is something that I said it was going to be back in December. Once that announcement came out, and I told Vince Russo that Daniel Bryan was going to be in the main event way back in December, Russo didn't believe me, even though I'd been on the show doing story after story. He said, I can't see that, Billy. That's the one thing I can't see. This guy's never going to be in the main event at WrestleMania. I said, he's going to be in the main event. This WrestleMania doesn't matter to Vince McMahon, because it has a low crowd. And this is the same thing with the Survivor Series. It's not Rock 25 anymore. They've spent money on Rock 25 merchandise, promotions, etc. You probably will see something, but it's not going to coincide with The Rock being in the Survivor Series. So this is not going to happen now. We may see Rock at next year's Survivor Series, or maybe even doing a little cameo at this year's WrestleMania, but he's not going to be in the build to WrestleMania. He's not going to be doing a match at WrestleMania. So that kind of clears up. People find it very confusing. It's like, oh, if they could take him now, why wouldn't they take him now? Because it costs more money, because he wants to do it when he wants to do it, because everything is cheaper, because the two parties get on really, really well. They have a working relationship. So, yeah, to me, it makes a lot of sense. To some people, this somehow isn't making sense, even though I've covered it on YouTube for 2 weeks in a row. So this is really the final time I want to talk about it.
Yo, what up? This is Konnan, and I host Keeping It 100, my co-host, Disco Inferno, unfortunately.
Well, I'd say you're my co-host.
Listen, every Thursday here on Spreaker, we talk pro wrestling, sports, movies, music, TV, pop culture, and some politics. It's everything the rest of the pro wrestling podcasts are not.
Tune in to hear myself, the superior one, educate and inform.
Tune in to hear me bury Disco.
That's very disrespectful.
Join us every Thursday on Spreaker and keep it 100. Boom!